Right now, as you listen to these words, there's a star dying somewhere in the cosmos, not with a violent explosion we call supernova, but slowly, quietly, like a flame running out of oxygen. Its nuclear furnace, which has burned for billions of years, begins to sputter. The hydrogen that once danced in fusion becomes scarce. The star grows cold, dim, and heavy. And somewhere on Earth, there's a human being sitting in front of a screen at 2 a.m., feeling exactly like that dying star. Empty, exhausted, running on fumes of what used to be passion. Maybe that human is you. Maybe you've been burning so bright for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to simply exist without the constant pressure to produce, to achieve, to be on all the time. But here's what's remarkable about dying stars, and here's what might just save you. Even in their final moments, they're not truly ending. They're transforming. And sometimes, that transformation creates something more magnificent than what came before. Today, we're going to explore the hidden science behind why your mind and body shut down when pushed too far. We'll journey through the neurochemistry of exhaustion, the physics of energy systems, and the cosmic perspective that might just help you find your way back to yourself. Because burnout isn't just feeling tired. It's what happens when a complex biological system, you, encounters forces it wasn't designed to handle. And understanding that changes everything. Let's start with your brain, this 3-pound universe of 86 billion neurons that somehow creates your entire experience of being alive. When neuroscientists study burnout, they don't just see stress. They see a biological system in crisis. Picture Sarah, a marketing manager who hasn't taken a real day off in 8 months. Every morning, her alarm jolts her awake at 6 a.m. Before her feet touch the floor, her mind is already racing to the day's endless tasks. Check emails, prepare presentations, put out fires, smile at meetings, be productive, be available, be everything to everyone. But inside Sarah's brain, something profound is happening, something that would fascinate any neuroscientist and terrify any human being who understood it. Her hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, let's call it her stress command center, has been firing nonstop for months. This ancient system, designed to help our ancestors outrun predators, is now being triggered by Slack notifications and quarterly reports. And it's breaking down. When you experience chronic stress, your brain floods with cortisol, the hormone that's supposed to save your life in emergencies. But cortisol isn't meant to be a constant companion. It's like keeping your car's engine in the red zone for months on end. Eventually, something's going to blow. Here's what's happening in Sarah's exhausted mind. Her prefrontal cortex, the CEO of her brain, responsible for decision-making, creativity, and emotional regulation, is literally shrinking. Meanwhile, her amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is growing larger and more reactive. She's becoming less capable of rational thought and more prone to panic, all while demanding more of herself than ever before. The neurotransmitters that once made her feel motivated and alive, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, are depleted. It's like trying to run a car on empty, wondering why it won't go faster. But here's the part that breaks my heart. Sarah blames herself. She thinks she's weak. She thinks she's failing. She has no idea that her brain has shifted into survival mode, that every cell in her body is screaming for rest, that what she's experiencing isn't a character flaw. It's biology. Dr. Christina Maslach, who literally wrote the book on burnout research, defines it through 3 dimensions: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced sense of personal accomplishment. But what she's really describing is what happens when a human nervous system encounters demands it cannot possibly meet. Your brain, this miracle of evolution that can contemplate the birth of stars and write symphonies, begins to shut down non-essential functions. Creativity dies first. Then empathy, then the ability to experience joy. Your mind becomes like a smartphone in low power mode, keeping only the most basic functions alive. And the cruelest irony? The harder you try to push through, the worse it gets. Because burnout isn't solved by willpower. It's solved by understanding that you're not a machine that can be fixed by working harder. You're a living system that needs care, rest, and restoration. The neuroplasticity research gives us hope, though. Your brain, Sarah's brain, your brain can heal. Those shrunken neural pathways can regrow. Those depleted neurotransmitters can be replenished. But first, you have to stop trying to outrun the biology that's trying to save you. Now, let's talk about energy. Not the mystical kind, but the hard physics of how energy actually works in the universe and in you. In physics, there's a law that governs everything from distant galaxies to mitochondria in your cells. The first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. This isn't just true for stars and planets. It's true for you. Think about it this way. You are quite literally a collection of energy borrowed from the sun. The food you eat captured sunlight through photosynthesis. Your body breaks down those molecules to fuel every heartbeat, every thought, every dream. You are solar-powered, just like the plants, just like the weather patterns, just like everything else alive on this planet. But here's where burnout becomes a physics problem. You've been spending more energy than you're taking in. And unlike a bank account, where you can go into debt, your biological energy system has hard limits. Meet Dr. James, an emergency room physician who's been working 80-hour weeks since the pandemic began. 3 years later, he can barely get out of bed on his days off. His wife says it's like living with a ghost. He's physically there, but the person she married seems to have vanished. From a physics perspective, James has been operating in what we might call energy deficit. His adenosine triphosphate, ADP, the molecular currency of energy in every cell, is constantly depleted. His mitochondria, those tiny power plants inside his cells, are overworked and underperforming. He's like a city during a blackout, with some neighborhoods getting power while others go dark. But energy systems in physics have another crucial property. They tend toward equilibrium. Water flows downhill. Heat moves from hot to cold. Overworked systems naturally seek balance, even if that balance means shutting down. This is why burnout often feels like hitting a wall. It's not metaphorical. It's your biological energy system enforcing the laws of thermodynamics. Your body is saying, we cannot continue to violate the basic principles of energy conservation. Something has to give. The research on circadian rhythms adds another layer to this. Your body runs on approximately 24-hour cycles that have been shaped by millions of years of evolution. These aren't just sleep patterns. They're fundamental energy rhythms that affect everything from your immune system to your ability to think clearly. When you chronically disrupt these rhythms, working late, checking email before bed, flooding your system with artificial light, you're essentially asking your body to ignore 4 billion years of evolutionary wisdom. It's like trying to make the Earth spin backwards. Technically possible for a moment, but ultimately unsustainable. Dr. Matthew Walker's research on sleep reveals something beautiful and terrifying. During deep sleep, your brain literally cleans itself. Cerebrospinal fluid washes through your neural tissue, clearing out the metabolic waste that accumulates during your waking hours. Without adequate sleep, this glymphatic system can't function properly. Toxins build up. Neurons become less efficient. Your mind literally becomes polluted. But there's something even more profound happening here. In physics, when systems approach critical thresholds, like water about to boil or a star about to collapse, they often exhibit what's called critical slowing down. The system's ability to return to its normal state after a disturbance becomes compromised. This might explain why recovery from burnout takes so much longer than people expect. Your biological system's resilience, its ability to bounce back from stress, has been fundamentally altered. You need time not just to rest, but to rebuild the very mechanisms that allow you to handle challenges. Here's the hopeful part. Energy systems can also be renewed. Stars are born from the remnants of other stars. Ecosystems regenerate after destruction, and your cellular energy production can be restored through proper nutrition, exercise, sleep, and, crucially, by respecting the natural rhythms your body was designed to follow. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that entropy, disorder, tends to increase in isolated systems. But living systems aren't isolated. They can take in energy from their environment and use it to create order, to heal, to grow. The key word there is environment. You need the right inputs to transform energy effectively. This is why self-care isn't selfish. It's physics. You're not being lazy when you rest. You're allowing your energy systems to rebalance. You're not being weak when you set boundaries. You're preventing thermodynamic collapse. You're working with the fundamental laws that govern everything from atomic particles to galactic clusters. Your burnout isn't a failure of character. It's evidence that you're subject to the same beautiful, immutable laws that govern the entire universe. And once you understand those laws, you can work with them instead of against them. Let me tell you about the most beautiful explosion in the universe. It happens when a massive star, one that's burned through all its nuclear fuel, finally surrenders to gravity. For a moment that lasts milliseconds, the star's core compresses to unimaginable density. Then, in an explosion brighter than entire galaxies, it scatters the elements it spent millions of years creating across the cosmos. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you're breathing right now. They were all forged in the heart of a dying star. You are, quite literally, made of stardust. But more than that, you exist because stars learn how to let go. When I think about burnout through this cosmic lens, everything changes. Because what looks like ending might actually be beginning. What feels like death might be transformation. What seems like failure might be the universe asking you to release what no longer serves you, so something new can be born. Consider the story of Elena, a nonprofit director who dedicated 15 years to fighting climate change. She organized protests, lobbied politicians, worked 18-hour days trying to save a world that seemed determined to destroy itself. The passion that once fueled her became rage. The hope that sustained her became despair. She burned out so completely that she couldn't even watch nature documentaries without crying. Elena felt like she had failed the planet, failed the movement, failed herself. But from a cosmic perspective, something else was happening. Her burnout wasn't the end of her contribution to the world. It was the beginning of a deeper understanding of what service actually means. The universe operates on scales that dwarf our human experience. Stars live and die over billions of years. Galaxies dance around each other for eons. The cosmic microwave background radiation we detect today is the echo of the Big Bang, still reverberating through space after 13.8 billion years. From this perspective, your burnout, this moment of exhaustion and surrender, is just a tiny fluctuation in an unimaginably vast story. But here's what's profound. Even tiny fluctuations can have enormous consequences. The butterfly effect isn't just chaos theory. It's a recognition that small changes in complex systems can reshape entire patterns. Your rest matters on a cosmic scale. Your healing sends ripples through every relationship, every interaction, every system you touch. When you honor your limits, you model something the world desperately needs to learn. That sustainable systems require balance, that endless growth leads to collapse, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop. The ancient Chinese philosophy of yin and yang understood this millennia ago. The universe itself alternates between expansion and contraction, between activity and rest, between creation and dissolution. Our current culture treats constant activity as virtuous and rest as weakness, but this violates the fundamental rhythms that govern everything from atomic vibrations to the breath of the universe. Dr. Carl Sagan once said, "The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff." But if that's true, then your burnout is also cosmic. The same forces that cause stars to exhaust their fuel and transform into something new are operating within you. Your exhaustion isn't a personal failing. It's part of the universe's way of ensuring that systems evolve, that stagnation gives way to renewal, that what seems like endings are actually beginnings in disguise. Recent research in complexity science shows us that many systems, from ecosystems to economies, go through predictable cycles of growth, conservation, collapse, and renewal. The collapse phase isn't failure. It's a necessary clearing that makes space for new forms of organization to emerge. What if your burnout is part of this cycle? What if the parts of your life that are falling away, the beliefs that no longer serve you, the relationships that drain your energy, the habits that keep you stuck, need to collapse so something more authentic can emerge? Elena discovered this when she finally stopped fighting her exhaustion and started listening to it. Her burnout led her to meditation, which led her to a deeper understanding of interconnectedness, which led her to develop a completely new approach to environmental activism, one based on inner transformation rather than external pressure. Her breakdown became her breakthrough, not despite the cosmic perspective, but because of it. The Hubble Space Telescope has shown us that the universe is not only expanding, but accelerating in its expansion. Dark energy, a force we barely understand, is pushing galaxies apart at an ever-increasing rate. But even in this vast expansion, gravity still pulls matter together to form new stars, new planets, new possibilities for life. This is the paradox of existence. Expansion and contraction, separation and connection, breakdown and breakthrough, all happening simultaneously. Your burnout is part of this cosmic dance. You are expanding and contracting just like the universe itself. You are learning, like the stars, that letting go is sometimes the most creative act possible. When you're deep in burnout, it's hard to see past the exhaustion, the numbness, the feeling that you've lost yourself completely. But from the cosmic perspective, you haven't lost yourself. You're finding yourself. You're discovering what happens when you strip away everything that isn't essential. You're learning what remains when all the doing stops and only the being is left. The light from distant stars takes millions of years to reach us. The person you're becoming through this experience of burnout might not be fully visible yet, even to yourself. But that doesn't mean the transformation isn't happening. Like starlight traveling through space, some changes only become apparent after vast stretches of time. Your burnout is teaching you something the universe has known all along. That sustainable systems require rest, that constant growth is impossible, that the most beautiful creations often come from apparent destruction. You are not failing at life. You are learning to live in harmony with the fundamental rhythms that govern all existence. And in that harmony, new possibilities are born. So here we are at the end of our journey through the science of burnout and the cosmos of renewal. We've seen how your exhausted brain is following the same laws that govern dying stars. We've understood how your depleted energy systems mirror the physics of the entire universe. We've glimpsed how your breakdown might actually be a breakthrough in cosmic disguise. But what does this mean for you right now, in your real life with your real problems and your very real exhaustion? It means this: you are not broken. You are not weak. You are not failing at life. You are a complex biological system that has encountered forces beyond its design parameters, and you're responding exactly as any such system would. You are stardust learning to honor the rhythms of the stars. Your burnout is not your fault, but your recovery is your responsibility. Not because you owe it to anyone else, but because you owe it to yourself to the universe that spent 13.8 billion years creating the specific collection of atoms that is you reading these words in this moment. Recovery doesn't mean going back to who you were before. Stars don't return to their previous state after transformation. They become something new. White dwarfs, neutron stars, sometimes black holes that bend space and time around them. All magnificent, all necessary, all part of the cosmic story. Your transformation might be quieter than a supernova, but it's no less significant. Maybe you'll learn to say no to requests that drain your energy. Maybe you'll discover forms of work that align with your natural rhythms. Maybe you'll find ways to contribute to the world that don't require you to sacrifice yourself in the process. The neuroscience tells us your brain can heal. The physics tells us your energy can be renewed. The cosmic perspective tells us your breakdown is part of a universal pattern of transformation. All three are true simultaneously, just like light is simultaneously a wave and a particle, just like you are simultaneously finite and infinite, temporary and eternal. There's an Arabic proverb that says, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." From a cosmic perspective, your burnout might be exactly where the light of understanding enters your life, the place where you learn that you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself subjectively, learning its own limits and possibilities through your particular nervous system. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is not toxic positivity telling you to just think differently about your pain. This is recognition that your individual experience is part of a larger pattern, and that pattern includes both breakdown and breakthrough, both exhaustion and renewal, both endings and beginnings. Your rest matters. Your boundaries matter. Your healing matters. Not just to you, but to everyone whose life you touch, to the systems you're part of, to the universe that is constantly learning about itself through billions of individual experiences like yours. You are not just recovering from burnout. You are participating in the cosmic process of learning how conscious beings can live sustainably within the laws of physics and biology and psychology. You are helping the universe discover how to be both finite and infinite, both individual and interconnected, both human and cosmic. That's not a small thing. That's everything. If this resonates with you, if you recognize yourself in these words, know that you're not alone in this cosmic dance of breakdown and breakthrough. Millions of people around the world are learning to honor their biological limits while reaching for their highest possibilities. Here's what I want you to do right now. Look up at the night sky if you can, or just close your eyes and remember that you're on a planet spinning through space, carried by a star that has burned steadily for 4.6 billion years. You are made of elements forged in stellar cores. You are stardust with consciousness, matter that has learned to reflect on itself. Your burnout is teaching you something the universe has always known, that sustainable systems require balance, that endless growth leads to collapse, that rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's the foundation of it. If you found value in this cosmic perspective on burnout, consider subscribing to Cosmos and Self-Belief. We explore the connections between science and meaning, between individual experience and universal patterns, between the vast cosmos and the intimate territory of your own heart. And remember, you are not just healing from burnout. You are learning to live like the universe itself, in cycles of activity and rest, expansion and reflection, doing and being. You are discovering how to be both human and cosmic, both finite and part of something infinite. The stars are waiting for you to remember who you really are. And when you do, your light will shine not because you're burning yourself out, but because you've learned to burn sustainably, like the sun that has warmed this planet for billions of years and will continue to do so for billions more. Rest well, Stardust. The universe is cheering for your renewal.